Kevin Talbot is a local nature photographer who has honed his skills over the past 25 years on the ponds, in the woods, and across the mountains of his native New England. An avid hiker, he, along with his trusted and faithful companions, Emma, his dog, and Judy, his wife, notice the order of that, just saying, have tramped New Hampshire's 48 4,000 footers and many lesser hills and peaks across New England on hundreds of hikes over the past 15 years. Sadly, Emma passed away in spring of 2013 and has not been replaced, though Kevin and Judy continue to tramp. A soon-to-be-published book about their adventures together is on the way, and a journal and photographs of the amazing hikes they took together can be found at, ready? Write this down, ghostflowers.smugmug.com. All right, and he's here today to tell us a little bit about himself. Warm welcome. You are here, right, Kevin? Kevin in the room? Oh, there you are. Thanks for doing this.
Thanks, Mike.
When you're ready, give them a thumbs up, okay?
Okay. All right. Is anybody here from Greater Boston? You can interpret what I'm saying. I'm ready. While she was growing up, she had never been able to have a dog. Now her father was dying, and in a dream, my wife saw her father stand up to walk, but he faltered and he collapsed to the floor. She rushed to his side, but there where he had been was a tiny black dog. 10 days after her father's funeral, Emma walked into our lives. Apparently a stray, we took her in. Our chance meeting rescued her from the streets of Lawrence and brought her to the summits of hundreds of hills and mountains over her 14 years. She led us to the summit of Mount Flume in February 2008, 11 miles round trip via the Osseo Trail. Even in snowshoes, the steep sections were difficult as the fine, deep, granular snow would not compress or compact, and we would take 2 steps forward and slide backwards 5. Winter always seemed to be her favorite. Her thick, black double fur was super warm. She would often suffer on our summer hikes, especially above tree line where there was no shade, but it was perfect for the cold temps, and when she got too warm, she would just stick her face in the snow. Although she never reached all 48 of New Hampshire's 4,000 footers in winter, she did reach 41 of them, including Washington and Jefferson in winter, 2 of the tallest and most difficult to obtain in any season. Not bad for a 14-inch at the shoulder, 22-pound Pomeranian mix. My wife and I had done a small bit of hiking, but when Emma came along, she quickly showed us that she was one tough cookie, seemingly undaunted by any obstacle, whether man, beast, or mountain. She came with no AKC papers, but she showed us she was 100% White Mountain Dog. At 13 years old, she hiked to her last 4,000 footer, next to last 4,000 footer, a cold, icy ascent of Mount Lafayette in March of 2013. At an elevation of 5,260 feet, freezing fog formed the rime ice you see on her fur. She didn't mind this at all. In fact, she would have preferred this to hiking in July any day. Judy and I would choose the mountains and the trails we would hike, but as soon as we arrived at the trailhead, Emma would become the trip leader. She proved to us early that the bond between she and Judy would keep her from wandering too far ahead, and so we trusted her to be off-leash. On the mountain trails, there were always opportunities to cool off, and she would always take full advantage. Water would do in a pinch, but she preferred the long-lasting cooling effects of mud. In her whole life, I don't think she was ever clean for more than an hour. As the years passed, she taught us that there was much more to hiking in the mountains than simply bagging the next peak. We needed to take time to enjoy the experience, to let the cleansing effect of the mountains renew our spirits, and we all looked forward to every trip. The drudgery of our everyday life would melt away as we stood together on one rocky outcrop after another. Mother Earth was laid at our feet, and Father Sky wrapped us in billowing clouds. With each hike, we would leave the troubles of the world behind and find ourselves as part of the miracle of our surrounding universe. Often the rigors of the trail would test our mettle. Heat, humidity, biting insects, frigid cold, fatigue. We learned the struggle was not with the mountain as much as within ourselves. When I would be ready to give up in despair, I would look up, and there would be Emma, waiting and wondering why I was taking so long. Emma would often lead us above tree line in the Presidential Range, some of the highest and most difficult peaks in New Hampshire. A day like this can turn windy, cold, and foggy in an instant, or the hot sun can beat down on your black fur like a desert. The rocks are quartzite and mica shift and very abrasive on padded feet. In 2010, Emma had a chance meeting with a very young and handsome Australian cattle dog named Mr. Blue. She was 10 and he was 2. But they became the best of friends and loved to share adventures. A rescue like her, she taught him the manners of a good trail dog, and he taught her to always be young at heart. Often our adventures would include awakening on a mountaintop in the wee hours before dawn to the voice of the white-throated sparrow. Like ourselves, I believe Emma absorbed these moments when all the world was calm, quiet, and the rising sun would bring the forest to life around us. Over the years, images like this of Emma became well known among different hiking circles, and she gathered a large following on the internet hiking forums. Often people would spot her on the trail and exclaim, "Emma!" Once on a remote mountain in Maine, a woman approached me and asked in French, "Is that Emma?" It is said a dog comes into our lives to teach us joy and love and leaves us much too soon to teach us loss and sorrow. During her years with us on earth, she was at our sides as we buried our mothers and some dear departed brothers and sisters-in-law, as well as my oldest son. Like dust in the wind, we will all take this trail someday. Pictures and words can never fully describe the joy and happiness a dog can bring into your life if you're willing to give to them the time and attention they so desperately need from you. For close to 14 years, I watched my wife and Emma perfect this relationship. It was an honor and a privilege to be part of something so wonderful. As is so often the case in life, on the day she came to us, we did not know she was coming, and on the day she left us, we did not know she was leaving. This is the last photo of our little girl I would ever take, cooling off in her favorite mud hole. A few hours later, her tiny but mighty heart gave out. She had taken a path where we could not yet follow. As the long days, weeks, and months passed after she was gone, I pored over the thousands of photos of her I had taken, and I realized I had not taken nearly enough. In all the world's natural beauty we had witnessed and shared together over 14 years, nothing was more special to us than this tiny heartbeat at our heels who could conquer any mountain.